today's lesson, we see how, as an act of worship, Ezra prepared gifts of precious metals to be carried by the priests and Levites to the house of God in Jerusalem. The story in which we find ourselves takes place in the midst of a larger story, the kind often referred to as a return story. And it was a marvelous return. After years of exile under Babylonian and Persian rule, the Jews returned in stages on a glorious return to their homeland. The return was a thrilling experience. Long journeys in the ancient Near East often involved the danger of harm from robbers or wild animals. For this reason, Ezra has just proclaimed a fast before the journey begins, that we might afflict ourselves before our God, to seek of him a right way for us, and for our little ones, and for all our substance. Which brings us to our key verse for today, which reads, "And I said to these priests, you and these treasures have been set apart as holy to the Lord. This silver and gold is a voluntary offering to the Lord, the God of our ancestors." Ezra chapter 8, verse 28. God moved people's hearts to pour out generosity on this important mission. But what is probably even more significant than the amount of the riches bestowed on Israel is the identity of the givers. All Israel there present, that is, the Israelites present at the time of Ezra's departure for Jerusalem. All of these people poured out generosity upon Ezra's expedition. Listed before them, we see the most unlikely sort of donors to the building of the Lord's temple, the Persian king, along with his counselors and his lords. How is it that a Gentile king, who considered the Israelites a tiny and insignificant portion of his vast kingdom, would give resources to those returning to their homeland? One commentator has a helpful answer. If the God of the Jews were no more than a name, he might have argued, the whole exercise was pointless. But if he existed, he would expect tangible courtesies from a king, and the scale of them should reflect the donor's power and majesty. So this explanation seems to fit the way ancient kings perceived their own glory, and how all of their public demonstrations were a reflection of that glory. However, it should be noted that God moved a Gentile king's heart. The king gave much more extravagantly than he likely would have felt required to do. Truly, as the Proverbs say, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. We can say that not just God-fearing kings, but of non-believing kings as well. The size of this offering would have no doubt funded the work of the temple and its priests for decades to come. But apart from true piety on the part of the people, those riches would have become stale. Ezra's words here are words of ordination, and like the priests who were ordained and set apart in Leviticus, these priests are set apart. Being holy in the scriptures always involves being set apart, consecrated for a special purpose. It is significant that Ezra sets apart the offering as well. The vessels are holy also. Even in light of their prayers, their hearts must have been troubled at what lay ahead. But Ezra speaks with the certainty of faith, assuming the people will arrive safely to the priests in Jerusalem. They would then and there display the wonder of what God has done in the hearts of both Persians and Jews. Again, Ezra speaks in the language of public ceremony. Just as the first temple was built after a massive offering from a people with stirred hearts, now the rebuilt temple would be blessed with the people's offering. God alone could have produced such an abundance by creating willing hearts among so many of those made in his image, whether they consciously worshipped him or not. So here's our lesson. Giving is an act of worship to God. So if we truly believe in God and we truly intend to be the light in the world that God has directed us to be, we need to identify one need where we can sincerely make a contribution. Thank you so much for listening and subscribing to iLights. Heavenly Father, fill our hearts with what we truly desire, for who we truly seek is you.